Welcome, everyone. My name is Cody Delmendo. I am the coordinator of communications for Sigma Alpha Epsilon here in Evanston, Illinois. As you can see, I'm coming from my apartment tonight as I am remote today. But we have a great conversation for Black History Month. Similar to last year, David Callier King had a conversation with Supreme Council Member Ben Johnson. And, that was great and that's awesome. But this year we have some great undergrads from across the realm. And I got my good friend, colleague, co-worker, Steadman Boston. He's a coordinator for chapter development. Steadman, I'm happy you're here. You basically helped coordinate getting these three undergrads with us tonight. I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce them, but thanks for basically helping me coordinate this. This is awesome. I'm happy to do this, and I'm happy that we're able to share this with the realm.
I appreciate it, Cody. It's an honor to be joined by three amazing undergrad brothers from my fraternity to have a special discussion surrounding Black history and SAE. So let's jump right into it. Fellas, introduce yourselves and tell us what made you join SAE.
Well, I'll start. I'm Styles Martin. I'm a member here at Tennessee Alpha, Johnson City, Tennessee at East Tennessee State University. I guess I'm graduating in May, so this is my last semester as a undergrad. But as everybody knows, fraternity lasts forever, brotherhood lasts forever. But why I joined SAE was, probably not the same reasons as everybody else, but I thought I could make a huge influence and a difference, what God was doing in my life and with the brothers here. And that was the main goal here. And I had a bunch of guys that were willing to accept me for doing that. And I think I've done that goal, and I think I can still work on it. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I stayed.
All right, I'm Jaylen Faniel. I'm a junior at Winthrop University, and I joined SAE because when I first came to under events during the Rush Week, I didn't look at color, but I just seen that they are also nice guys, and I feel like I can get along with them. And over these last almost 2 years, I have grew a lot of good bonds with all of the brothers.
Nice, man.
And I am Foote from McDaniel College. The reason why I joined SAE was because when I was first introduced to these guys, it was all in an individual matter. One of them was in my class, another one was in another class. And I just kept interacting with them, not knowing that they were brothers at all. And so we all got together at some point, held an event for potential new members to come to, and that's when it all clicked together. Wait, this is a fraternity. And as I started hanging out with them a lot more, I got a feel of, wow, these guys really clicked together very well. I wish I had something like that. And then later down the line, they convinced me to join. And honestly, I had one of the best speeches from the old recruitment chair. And it was just inspiring ever since. And I've had an amazing experience here.
I love it. Jaylen's actually from my home chapter at Winthrop University. We actually rechartered back in 2016, and I was one of the founding fathers for our chapters. And what I love about our chapter is we're one of the most diverse chapters you'll see. Our campus is very diverse. And when I actually joined SAE, I had the opportunity of going MPAC. I could have joined any other IFC fraternity as well. But what I saw in SAE, the other chapters couldn't offer me. That brotherhood, that bond, that being different and being diverse is what really drew me in to being a brother of SAE. But I think all of us on this call can agree that there's no doubt that the true gentleman caught many of our attentions. So, however, when we think about the unrest and the racial issues occurring in our society today, how can our brothers use the true gentleman to help make a change?
There's something that we like to do in our fraternity, in our chapter, and that's pick out one line that truly means the most to you, right? And so for me, that's whose he follows his word. I think a man and any person in general, honestly, should follow his word in anything they do. And so I think that's something that we do is we dissect the true gentleman and we actually try to make the most out of it. And I think the more that you study it, the more that you learn it, and the more that you analyze it and actually live by it, the more that you can improve not only in your chapter within your brotherhood, but also in the campus, also in the community. And I think being honest is the first part to do anything, to have any type of true brotherhood, is being honest about who you are, what your situation is, and where you want to be in life. And then that's what we can do for everybody else.
I like it.
That's a great answer, man.
Appreciate it.
Corey, what about you, man?
I'd say I'd have to agree with Styles on his first point about picking out which one you like the most and sticking to it, because when you actually go in and analyze what the entire mantra itself says, it touches on some really great things. As a person yourself, you'd probably want to follow it if you want to have a good moral code. At least that's how I look at it.
Jaylen?
Yeah, I like what both of you guys said, but thinking about it, I just like the term of having respect for everybody in the chapter, because I respect everybody that's in the chapter at Winthrop, and everyone else respects me, no matter who I am.
You guys know one of my favorite parts of The True Gentleman is a man who does not make the poor man conscious of his poverty, the obscure man of his obscurity. So I guess as a minority in SAE, I have you or your chapter build a safe space for minority brothers, or what can we do to make sure all of our brothers feel accepted?
I'll let one of you guys speak first on this one. I'll speak last. I'll take the reins on this one.
All right, I guess I'll go then. I just like to always, feel included in everything. And that's what everybody tries to do with me, since I'm currently the only African-American active at the Winthrop chapter. Everybody tries their best to make me feel included. And I really appreciate that. No one makes me feel like an outsider or nothing, which is pretty awesome.
Jaylen, I love hearing the stories of how you guys crack jokes together. And I think that builds brotherhood, and that shows that you guys can trust and when too far is too far as well, while also having a good time. So I think that's a really cool bonding moment that you guys have. Corey, what you think, man?
For me, I say I always let the brothers know that the floor is always open for conversation on things that they may be confused about when it comes to my experience or how I'm feeling about things. And that generally works when we get into things. And they've always made sure to create a safe space for me at any given moment. Granted, I'm not the only African-American member of my chapter. We have Randy and Dylan as well. But as far as my experience with it so far, being one of the oldest African-American members of the current chapter, they, all of the current brothers know that they got my back and I got theirs.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part, is having each other's back. I mean, for the most part, I think we look beyond color because we all have different backgrounds. Whether it's family lifestyles, finances. We've had people that have lost, dads, moms, brothers, sisters. So the last thing we're worried about is what color we are. I can tell you that much. So, we try to do as many brotherhood events as possible and try to make sure. And Steadman, you obviously know, especially after last year with our chapter, we had to connect in a very tight way, very fast. And so color and what was going on in society was not a factor into what was going on in our chapter.
I don't mean to interrupt, Steadman, but I want to point out, so part of my position at SAE is I run our social media. So I see basically what all the chapters across the realm are doing. And I think I've emailed with Styles before a few times when it comes to getting pictures and stuff from events they've had. And I just want to point out that what I've seen from what they've posted, that they have a really strong brotherhood there. And I just want to point that out because it is something I like to do when it comes to, meeting you guys tonight and, that kind of stuff, because you know how stereotypes in Greek life can go. And, I definitely think it's a special thing when you see photos of guys with a flag and just outside their house, excited to be there in that moment. So that's just one small example. So
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And when I think about creating a safe space and making brothers feel comfortable, I believe it's important to see them for the character. Sometimes we forget about is the character that our guys embody. And I love Martin Luther King Jr., who's a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. He said, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." So when you guys think about your future kids, what do you think they will say about you joining the SAE?
hopefully they say my boys are dope. That's what I hope they say. I'm just messing. But real talk, I mean, that's really it. I mean, I hope that, which I know they will. I know they'll meet some of my, people in my class and like, in the fraternity as a whole. I just hope they know that those guys treat everybody with respect. They can just be like, hey, those guys are good role models. And for, and even for their kids as well, with myself, just being good role models for these guys. But yeah, most importantly, I hope my kids think they're dope. That dad wasn't actually a weirdo back in the day. So that'd be kind of smooth.
I like it.
Say for me, in the years to come, I'll hope to be able to tell my kids about the very best fraternity and how the amazing experiences that I've had here was truly beyond what I could ever think of when it came to fraternity itself. Because, as kids, we get a general notion of what we believe fraternity to be through media, movies, or whatever else we're exposed to in it. And it's not typically shown in a good light or in a light that a kid at that age would want to be a part of. And like, when you think of fraternity as a child, you say, oh, party's fun. That sounds cool. But there's more to it when it comes to Sigma Alpha Epsilon. And it shows a brighter side of it in my experience here.
If I do have kids in the future, I want my kids to think that Sigma Alpha Epsilon is a safe space for all guys with all races. Because I want SAE to keep on building up with diversity in the future, years from now, because I'm really seeing it ever since I joined.
I think as an undergrad, this sounds probably weird that I was thinking about having kids when I was in college. It's like, what, son, you got a long time to live. But I was looking for those values that the fraternity can teach me in order to be a better man and to be a better dad. Just think we have the opportunity of teaching our kids what it is to be a true gentleman, of not being judgmental of people, of, being willing to give the shirt off of your back. That's a special opportunity that goes beyond just race. It's those values that we have. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first joined SAE, a lot of people looked at it like, why SAE? What are you gonna take away from it? And it's those values that I can hold on to be a better man and to be a better dad. And I'm a big believer that we're in the business of changing and shaping lives. So if we're able to take those values and instill them into our children, that's going to push us a long way. And to Jaylen's point, hopefully one day we all will have sons that will want to join SAE and keep our legacies going. But that brings me to another topic of, as an organization, what can we do better to help push minority men to join SAE?
I got that one. I'll take that. I'll take the reins on this one too.
Go for it, Sal.
Let's hear it, man.
All right, but I got it. How to get minority men in here? I don't know. I mean, I think, at least for me, I came into the chapter and not one minority was already in here. There is not one Black person, not one Hispanic person, nothing. And since then, I think if we haven't, tripled the amount of minorities in here, it's I don't know, it's risen over the last 4 years. And so I don't know, I think the biggest thing is just like being yourself and being able to try to connect with them. Like I said, you're gonna have different backgrounds. And unfortunately a lot of minorities tend to have the same backgrounds at times. And so whenever you get to them, like I said, being honest, being true to like who you are, being true to like what your experience has been while in the chapter and what the fraternity and what your brotherhood has done for you. And then what they can do for that, minority and for that family that they have back home. Because it doesn't just stop with the actual person, it goes onto their family from generation to generation. And so I think, we look at those and we look at, what their lifestyle has been, being honest about ours, and just trying to find some similarities, a way to connect with them and be honest with them.
It's hard to top that answer, guys.
Yeah,
I'll go
I
next
like
on
what,
this. Oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead, bro.
No, you go ahead, James. Jaylen, you
All
got
right.
that.
All right. I like what Style said, because don't try too hard to get minorities. Just be yourself, and that's how they caught me. They were just being themselves. I like their energy, and there were some fine, nice gentlemen, and that's what I like about people: nice, honest, loyalty. That's what all I really need from a group of people. Because a lot of people ask me why SAE, It's because they are all good men. It doesn't matter about being a race, what race they are, because people ask me why I didn't join no Black fraternity. Because I don't know, I just really love these guys. They really are my brothers. I'm really grateful that I made the decision that I did.
So my take on it would be a little representation goes a long way. In the terms of social media, when you look up Sigma Alpha Epsilon casually, you may see a demographic of majority of Caucasian men. But if you just take the opportunity to get honestly, any minorities boosted when it comes to the ratio of that may like help the chances a lot more, or at least in my opinion, because that's how I see things when it comes to joining clubs on campus or wanting to be a part of other communities. That's just my take on it.
I think it's something that we preach all the time is value-based recruitment. You want the best men and the guys that have the best values, but I think sometimes on some of our campuses, it's intimidating when you walk up to a table and it might be just all white guys. And so I guess we find ourselves in a situation of how do we show that we have those strong values? How do we show that we're willing to get to know you? We want to get to know you throughout this process of joining and becoming an SAE. And I think, in my personal opinion, is we just have to spread the good news. Oftentimes, we don't post enough on social media the service projects we're doing. We don't post enough the great philanthropy events that we're hosting, the dollars that we're raising to give back to our communities. We just allow that stigma to stand out there. And we have to do a better job as all SAEs of really pushing the great things we do, because we do a lot of great things. The good definitely outweighs the bad, but we just don't promote it, fellas. So we got to get our chapters fired up and say, yo, we got to show off what we're doing. But I think when we look at recruitment as well, is oftentimes I hear brothers say they join because of there being someone in the chapter that they looked up to or someone in the chapter they admired. So I'm curious to know, is there a minority brother in your chapter right now or SAE in general that you guys look up to, and why?
Man, I'm I guess by grade, I'm the oldest minority there is. Like I said, I graduated in May. But we actually had, in this past rush class, in the fall, we had a guy that was a Purple Heart. His name is, we call him D. His name's Dylan Forte Whetstone, it's long name, whatever. But he's 27, he's a Purple Heart guy, and he came in here and he treated everyone, just like we wanted to be treated. I mean, obviously the military teaches you a different way. And I think honestly, the military and the true gentleman, kind of goes hand in hand a little bit about, the morals that they have and, what they try to incorporate into their lifestyles and to their man and the brotherhood that they have. And so when we were rushing him, just how he held himself, what he wanted to do in life, how he wanted to run for positions early, wanted to do well in school early. And so like I said, he's older than I am. I have a little bit more experience than he does in the chapter, but I definitely look up to him. I look at him and I'm like, this dude will definitely be a leader for the years to come, not because he's a Purple Heart, but because he's got the right heart. And so that's something that's very special to me. And I think he's going to be a great leader for the next 3 to 4 years that he's here at Tennessee Alpha, and hopefully even put in more work even as an alum.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I look up to my current chapter advisor, Jamad Jenkins. Steadman knows him. Me and him always try our best to stay connected with each other, even though we both are always busy. We currently had dinner like a couple weeks ago. We sat down, caught up with each other, talked about life. It's really good for just all the minority brothers just to stay in touch, contact with each other. I really like that from them, because it's kind of tough being the only active African American that's in the chapter right now, but it's still all good because everyone still loves me regardless.
So the minority brother that I looked up to when I first joined was his name is Jose. And the sole reason why I looked up to him is because of how stoic his expressions were and how his demeanor was always so calm. in the face of whatever he was faced with. And I'm just going to circle back to one of the true gentleman lines, to equal to all emergencies. He always made sure that everything was going to be okay whenever he was presented with a problem, and I admired how he went about handling such problems.
I think for me, it's hard because I'm the old head in my chapter because we were restarting. But I look at our younger guys that have come after me and seen the work they're putting in to make a difference, not just in SAE, but in other people's lives. And I think it's a tremendous thing, and it's a special thing, and I challenge you guys, the kind words that y'all just said about these brothers, to reach out to them and share that with them, because I feel like we have to do better as SAEs of sharing and loving on each other and letting them know, like, you're making a difference in my life. So make sure you guys do that. And Jaylen, his was Jamad, who's one of my best friends, and I can tell he's an amazing guy. So shout him out, man. Let him know. But they keeping those guys in mind. What is your legacy right now in your chapters, or what legacy do you want to leave behind?
Dude, I don't know. Mine's pretty easy. Like I started this chapter to give glory to God. And that's the only legacy I want to leave behind. I don't care about my name at the end of the day whatsoever. And so it's all about him like I said. So whatever he wants to leave behind, whatever that legacy is, I mean, I hope that by the way I lived, I showed people like, hey, like he's living through me. And that's the only legacy I need at the end of the day. So that's me. I mean, I hope my boys get better. And I think, obviously that's the way I wanted to be, but that's the legacy I want to leave behind.
The legacy I hope to leave behind is one to inspire excellence, for the sole purpose of me enjoying, excuse me, my language, the hell out of my experience with this fraternity. And I just want everything and everyone who was involved to be great no matter what, because I look at this fraternity as a great opportunity for growth, and I don't see why anyone else should.
For me, I want to leave have encouragement to do stuff. Like ever since I joined, everyone has pushed me out of my comfort zone, which helped me a lot because I used to be scared to do a lot of stuff, but now I'm more talkative. I could do talk to strangers during rush weeks. I'm really getting more comfortable with that. I used to be so shy, but SAE has really helped me become a true gentleman. So
I can relate to that. I used to be super quiet and shy too. And then whenever I found my chapter at Eastern Illinois, I became more, sociable with other people. And some people might not look at that as, I guess, like a trait or anything, but it definitely shapes you into the person you eventually become. And that's even beyond college too, as I've learned, as I've been out for 5-6 years now. So you're going to take that and you're going to always remember, SAE helped you get to that point. And I think that I always tell people and it's, I feel like I've experienced it now myself. 5 years after you leave, maybe there's a year or two in there where maybe you have fallen out of contact with guys from your chapter or just the chapter in general, but you'll still carry a lot of things you learn from it. And you'll realize how much it really kind of shaped you into the person you are, which will then probably lead you back to SAE, kind of like how it did me and how I got this job just a little over a year ago. So take that advice with you and know about that once you graduate, especially you, Style, since you're the oldest here.
Appreciate that.
I love that, Cody. And I kind of asked this question because it's something I've been struggling with as well. Being a founder of a chapter, sometimes you ask yourself, what legacy did I leave? And I would like to hope that I left a pretty positive legacy on the chapter, because I still keep in contact with all of the old heads and even our younger guys. But I think for me, something I struggle with is wanting to be perfect, wanting to make sure I'm pouring into every single guy. And sometimes you fall short of that. But as long as you continue to focus on being the best version of yourself that you can be, you will see that legacy it stays. I think Jaylen can attest if you walk into our chapter, hopefully most of them should say pretty good things about me is what I hope, Jaylen.
No, they're talking all the smack about you behind your back, Steadman.
I mean, no, they but I do have, it's been fun and insightful talk with you guys, and we're kind of coming to the end. But a big question I have for you, and this our last question, is how can our organization work together, or what can we do to celebrate all of the Black excellence that is in our fraternity?
Goodness gracious. How do you celebrate the Black excellence in the chapter? Like Corey said, I think a lot of it is just, showing just a little bit at a time. You go anywhere. I'm not a big social media guy whatsoever. Can't stand it. But if you do go on social media, you probably don't see too many Black people out there. You definitely don't see too many Black people doing good things within the chapter. That doesn't happen very often, or I guess that's not what's perceived very often. And I know my guys have been killing it here, all minorities, whether it's Black or, not. We try to shout them out as much as possible. But most of the time, I mean, we don't think anybody else cares. So I think that's just something that we have to start looking at, is that, other people, you could obviously does care, but, they can also use this for themselves. And maybe, it can motivate them and influence them to start grinding, maybe rushing other people like us, minorities and stuff like that. So I guess just realizing like, hey, like, celebrating just by thinking like, hey, other people care. Like you said, telling the brothers like, hey, like we see you, and we respect what you're doing within the chapter, in the community as a whole. But that's all I got.
Jaylen, Corey, what you got for us?
Yeah, what you got, guys?
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I had a whole plan on expanding on my previous point, but Styles took that right out of my mouth. Perfect execution. I have nothing more to say outside of that. I'm sorry, man. Jaylen, you got this.
I was gonna say something similar to what Styles said, just giving us shout outs and just show all of us appreciation for what we do. Yeah, Styles, he really killed it with what he said.
Hey, I just took Corey's answer from earlier and just made it sound a little better, I guess.
Yeah.
As the social media guy who's seeing everyone's posts and stuff from across the realm, like I really enjoy just seeing guys together, like whether they're wearing blocks or not, and like whether they're, minorities or not. I just love seeing guys doing things together, whether it is service or philanthropy, or if they have an event with another, with a sorority or even another fraternity on campus, and just seeing like guys doing things like, and they post about that, like it just shows that they're active out there on their campus and like making a presence. And, I don't think I wouldn't say that there's not enough of it, but I would say that, you could always do more if for people who are, or chapters who are, and people or chapters who aren't. So, I think overall though, that we are moving in the right direction, and all we can do is just move forward and keep, trying to better ourselves, like the true gentleman basically tells us to strive to do.
I agree with Cody on that one, and hopefully this video impacts a lot of our brothers, both minority or not minority, and just showing that we do love and value each other. And it comes back to the simple principle of brotherhood. It only takes you a few seconds to reach out to your brother and say thank you. It only takes a few seconds to reach out and say, I appreciate you, I care about you. And I just think making that sacrifice of time and making guys feel appreciated for who they are as people, it goes a long ways. And I just think we're very fortunate. We've came a long, long ways, even with all the unrest and the racial injustices that we're seeing. I know I'm blessed to call so many SAEs brothers, because the love that they pour in to me, and seeing and hearing what you guys have said about your chapters, that makes me feel good. And that makes me know that we are doing the right things. We are doing the work to make a change and be a part of the change. And I continue to challenge you three to be a catalyst of change. this isn't a conversation that's going to solve all of our problems tonight. We know the work is still to be done, and we know we have to have faith, and Styles will love this, but how does it go, Styles? Faith without work is dead.
That's exactly how it goes.
So, we got to put in the work to make sure that we bring all of our brothers into the fold and care about them and love on them. So I know I've enjoyed fellowshipping with you guys tonight. And I leave this quote from President Obama. It says, "Can we see in each other a common humanity, a shared dignity, and recognize how our different experiences have shaped us?" So I appreciate you guys, and a huge fire for y'all for taking out some time to speak and just discuss and fellowship together. I bounce it over to Cody.
Yeah, just to go off what Steadman said, thank you guys for joining us again. And hopefully this inspires more minorities in SAE, to want to do this with us again next year, because I'm sure we're going to try and do it again next year, and continue to have the conversations that need to be had and continue to be had. So with that said, I do want to remind everyone, if you're not following us on social media, make sure you're doing that on Instagram at Sigma Alpha Epsilon, at SAE Fraternity on Facebook, and at SAE 1856 on Twitter. As the social media guy, I'm just kind of told to just do that. So with that said, guys, thank you all for joining us. Thank you for everyone who listened. Phi Alpha, and we'll see you next time.